Welcome back. And now we're going to be talking about the mega projects that have been implemented in the last 8 years and their impact on the performance of the economy. And we're joined over the phone by Dr. Raouf Gafaar, an economic expert. Good afternoon to you, sir. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, I hardly hear you. Yes.
I'll try to raise my voice slightly. Egypt adopted an economic reform program since the president, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, took office 8 years ago in order to, repair the economy itself. How do you read these reforms, and has it been able to sort of, stop the effects of the pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war?
Absolutely. I mean, the reforms were very well studied. When we applied to the IMF and to the World Bank, we submitted a very well-studied program for the economic reform, and we executed this program impeccably. This is important because a lot of countries apply for loans for reform programs, but they don't actually do it the way it should be. But we really did it, and we have executed this program, as I said, with excellence. It involved the re-establishment of the infrastructure that was long ignored. I mean, 8 years ago, we had a problem with electricity, a shortage of electricity.
Yes.
Thanks to the program, we could transform our country into an exporting country for electricity. We've developed the infrastructure regarding the oil and gas industry. We have constructed a network of highways, really huge, unprecedented, as far as magnitude and technology.
Yes.
So, I mean, these were all projects that established a huge and solid foundation for the development. You mentioned that thanks to such projects, we could actually sustain the pandemic and go through it with a positive index on our economy. Very, very important. Not a lot of countries have done that. Then we have gone into huge mega projects, building new cities, the new capital, administrative capital, other cities on the north, Alamein, New Mansoura, to the south, everywhere. We have moved into land reclamation. We are almost increasing our cultivable lands by 50%, which is something huge, of course. We have directed our efforts into the development of areas long forgotten and ignored, like the north of Sinai, for instance, which has seen a huge development. In a nutshell, I want to say that all these mega projects led to two most important things. Number one, it employed a lot of people, and that means that the rate of unemployment has gone down, and in the same time, it created new communities.
The last thing I read was that it created, these mega projects were able to create about 5 million jobs.
Of course.
Yeah.
And we have actually reduced our rate of employment.
Yes.
I remember it was around 13% some years ago. Now we're around 7 or 8, which is excellent. And we are continuing. I mean, with the new projects for land reclamation.
Yes.
This is extremely important, not only because we are increasing our cultivable land, but we are producing strategic products like wheat and others on which we dependent on imports. And we want to secure our food security by producing such strategic agricultural products locally rather than depend on importation. This again will have an extremely positive impact on the economy.
Yes.
One thing we should never forget is that, again, the Egyptian citizen was not forgotten, and the huge project, I would say, a very ambitious decent life initiative was actually started, raising the standard of living in more than 4,000 villages that were in very poor governorates, like improving the standard of living and the well-being of the normal Egyptian citizen, and helping him to develop and get better. So, I mean,
yes,
the achievements have covered all areas, all domains, and now we are looking into, I should say, maybe changing a little bit some legislation to make it much easier for the investors to come in, etc., etc. But we have all what it takes for an investor to come and start tomorrow.
Sir, well, these mega projects, like we were saying, have created millions of jobs. But eventually these projects are going to end. What are the government plans to continue keeping this sustainable, keeping the employment going?
Well, I mean, mega projects, they don't happen every day. They are not, but I mean, as I said, they lead the way to sustainable development.
Yes.
Now, when we were talking about, for instance, Decent Life Initiative, it meant that we are going, the government is going to where the people live.
Yes.
And they provide them with facilities, with loans, with whatever aid they need to establish their own enterprises and their own projects and their own industry. There is a huge effort directed to the small and medium enterprises, which is the base of all sustainable development. So, I mean, mega projects, as you rightly said, will one day end, but the small and medium enterprises are going to continue. We are now giving very big attention to industry. We are trying to import technology rather than products, and use this technology to manufacture a lot of products locally, and this again will have a very positive impact on the economy of Egypt. So things are moving very quickly, I should say, and we hope that Egypt will grow to the better. The Egyptian citizen will feel that he is getting higher up as far as standard of living is concerned, etc., etc. So things are going and studied. I mean, again, maybe I forgot to mention that amongst all the efforts, we are looking into what the world is looking, clean energy. And this means that we are aware of the damages that are happening to the environment due to high rates of emissions, etc., etc. So we are moving into new energy, hydrogen, solar, etc., etc. Even in the car manufacturing, we are going into the electric car era, which is now prevailing everywhere in the world. So I mean, we are hosting now the COP27, which means that Egypt is very much aware of the changes, of climatic changes, and this all pours into a better world, which Egypt is part of.
So all these reforms and all these projects and, summits that are taking place in Egypt, will they help in, attracting foreign investment?
An investor needs a good infrastructure and labor. I think we have prepared ourselves.
Yes.
Now we have all the infrastructures that are needed. As a matter of fact, we have established economic areas and zones.
Yes.
The Suez Canal Economic Zone is a place where investor can come tomorrow and start his project. We have the manpower is an element that is very important in Egypt.
Yes.
We can provide labor at a reasonable cost. Egyptians are quick learners, so with very little training, etc., they can become very effective and very productive. So, in a nutshell, the investor, when he comes to Egypt, he finds all what it takes to start his project. Add to that the location of Egypt in the middle of the three continents, which makes it a very lucrative area to cover the African market from one side, the Asian market from the other, the European market from the third, and the Middle Eastern market from the fourth. So again, this is one of the points of attraction that are very appealing to the investors, whether local investors or foreign.
Okay, Raouf Gafaar, an economic expert, thank you so much for joining us over the phone. But unfortunately, we're out of time for this episode of Cairo Local Time. But stay tuned for more on Nile TV.